Hey, Lane.
Hey, JT.
I've been thinking about some questions I have for you.
Okay.
It's about friendship.
Friendship.
We
Okay.
met in a really weird way, like met,
Yeah. Yeah.
looking deeply into each other's eyes, mirroring emotions and body movements.
Yeah.
And it was super vulnerable. And I think I knew in that moment that we had something different.
Hmm.
When do you think you knew that we had something different?
Okay.
And I guess what do you think this friendship has turned into now?
Yeah. Well, first off, it sounds like a romance novel, like introduction of like how we like first met. But I think that's a really good question. So we met during improv, which was really odd. I wasn't expecting to meet another like friend from improv class.
Oh, interesting. I went there, like one of the big purposes was to meet friends.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I was like, this is a scary place where people either are comfortable being themselves or they're there to kind of learn to be themselves.
Yeah.
And so I was looking for you.
You're looking for me?
I was looking
Oh,
for you.
you're so sweet. I mean, I think as like people get to know us a little bit more, I think they'll understand that a bit more. It seems like very seductive in a way, but I think it's really sweet, like what you're saying. Yeah, when I first went to like it was my first time doing the improv class, and I don't know if I was really expecting to make a friend or make new friends. I really went because I wanted more opportunities to learn how to like express myself with like speaking and being silly and moving my body. Uh, I work like in a tech job on a computer a lot of times, so I become very like robotic and analytical, which can really suck when you're just living a life and not really expressing yourself a whole lot. And so I went there, and I remember in the class they were asking like why everyone joined, and I remember like just like spewing out like this like really deep from the heart like I'm here because I want to like be close to myself again and be like my child self again. And then we met playing one of the games where we had to like mimic each other's like body language. And I was like super nervous because I was this like the first or like
No, it wasn't. It was like the second or third week, actually.
yeah, so it was getting a little bit more comfortable, but still very uncomfortable. And I remember that was one of the first games that I really went at it of like trying to be like silly. And I remember I felt like we played really well together in that game. I remember one part I was like pretending that because you want to describe how like the game worked. It was like one of us would start off with like the body language or acting out something. The other person had to mimic it, and then it would switch back and forth, right?
And then you try to mirror each other at the same time.
Yeah. So it's really complex because you have to also switch to what the other
Yeah,
person's doing.
leading and following, and just accepting the gifts that the other person's giving you.
Yes. Yeah, and I remember there's one part where we were like in a helicopter or something, and then like we like I pretended to like eject through and like into like a parachute. And you did first off, you did a really good job like mimicking that. But I feel like it was the first time in that class that where I really allowed myself to be silly, and I felt like you did a really good job um responding well to that, making me feel comfortable. And like I feel like we like played well together.
Yeah, there was something in your face that made me realize you were not being judgmental, that we were both here to play and be really silly.
Hmm.
And so I felt really safe to just make a big choice and start running from something terrifying. I don't even remember what it was.
Yeah. Wow, you actually thought like remembered that. Like again, like I was like I guess I didn't I felt like I was like kind of fucking up like in the game, but you actually like felt it made you feel comfortable like playing with me in that
Oh
way.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's when I saw something different. Like, oh man, this guy is comfortable um, letting him be himself. And
Hmm.
I feel like I could be myself.
Yeah.
And even like a self that I'd never accessed before. I was going through therapy and that improv class at the same time. And that was like such a good pairing of believing in myself and realizing that I can reach to that imaginary shelf and pull that idea for the improv scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like a safe feeling. and one where I could tell we both were just like wanting to play.
Yeah. No, it was like perfect in like the way of like meeting someone that has like the same playing style as you, which was really really helpful. And I remember in one of the class, I don't remember exactly what class it was. I think it was the one where I was expressing why I was like there. And I remember after the end of the class, you came up to me and you're like very like serious, like, hey, I just want to like let you know that like I thought that was really beautiful the way you described that. And it gave me a bunch of compliments for being like expressive in that way, like emotionally expressive. And I was like, holy shit, there's another person in this class that I feel like is like, once we got to know each other, I felt like it made more sense to me. There was another person in this class that was trying to do like the same approach, which is like getting to be more comfortable with yourself, getting to know yourself more, and being silly and having fun. And
Developing yourself through play.
yes,
Yeah.
which is not as easy as it sounds. I don't think so, but
So we had this really good connection, and then there was a gap of time
yeah,
where our lives didn't line up.
yes,
And then you texted me out of the blue one day, and I'm like, basically my life is ready to line up.
yeah, yeah. Because I think we hung out a couple times after doing the improv, and we really like enjoyed each other's like time, and like I feel like we had a lot of fun. But yeah, I was so busy and so stressed with like work projects. I'm a like data engineer, so I do programming stuff, and I lead a lot of the development for that team. And a lot of the projects I was releasing were very stressful, and so I felt really bad because I didn't have like I really enjoyed hanging out with you, but I felt like emotionally I couldn't hang out with anyone because I was just like so stressed
Mm.
constantly. And you were always nice, like reaching out in small moments, like seeing, like coming and trying to hang out if possible. But then, yeah. And then like, was it like a year or
It was a year and a half.
year and a half? That's so crazy.
I know.
Yeah. A year and a half. And then I reached out to you because, I felt like I was finally in a better place of being more relaxed, having like a schedule that I felt okay with, not feeling pressured to have to like work constantly, like getting out of like the workaholic kind of like phase and stress. Um,
So how do you think about prioritizing that, especially in hindsight, with that situation? Would you have tried sooner, or just not the time in your life?
with like hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a weird phase for me because I feel like I naturally have a tendency to make friends really easy. And I know that can like sound like bragging, but it's just like who I've been since I was like a kid. I like to be really silly and like connect with people, but sometimes that can be really kind of bad because sometimes I think I when I'm dealing with like stress or anxiety, I start trying to hang out with people to distract myself with it. And so it was the first time like in my
Hmm.
adult life, like in my late 20s where I was really trying to take care of myself and not be reliant on like alcohol or other friends as a way to distract me. I really wanted to figure my shit out so I can be happier and also like connect with people more. Um, how did it make you? Did it hurt your feelings at all that I didn't have like that I didn't reach out to you within that long of a period? Because a year and a half is a long time.
It probably did, because I enjoyed our time so much, but I know everyone has different priorities, and I think it kind of worked out. Like I had a whole bunch of time when you texted me. It was like the perfect time for me, and I was able to like focus on the friendship, and I'm kind of glad about that.
Hmm.
I didn't want to enter a friendship that wasn't going to be a reciprocal friendship. I
Okay.
think that coming from my background, the way I used to view friendships was that we're all going to, all of my guy friends were all going to do the same things and believe the same things and just always be together forever.
You really thought
I
that?
really thought that. And it wasn't reciprocated. So many people were looking for a different type of friendship. And I wasn't even aware of that.
Hmm.
Um,
Was this when you were younger? These like friends that you made while you were younger?
yeah. When
Okay.
inside, I was in a very religious community and kind of a Christian fundamentalist. And I think because of that, I thought, well, there's a right thing to believe. So we can just all believe that.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't see other perspectives of different hobbies. So I thought we'd probably all do the same ones. I don't know. It was just so ignorant and small minded.
Did you just envision you and your friends like going to heaven and being like there hanging out together?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Probably like we have a commune or something off, on our own. But
Yeah. Was Jesus there too? In your mind?
um, no, he wasn't.
Wow.
He was too important to hang out with me and my friends.
Oh.
Maybe if it had been a polytheistic community and he could have been more than one of him,
Yeah.
that would have been better.
So you just need a bunch of Jesus clones.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think that fixes a lot of the problems with the religion in the world. But, one thing I want to point out, are you religious right now or?
No, I am.
Okay.
Thanks for asking that.
Yeah,
No,
I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, completely or I don't know if I'm anti-theist. I might be anti-theist,
Okay.
but I'm definitely atheist.
Okay. So you were hanging out with like these younger friends. You really enjoyed hanging out, like you loved them and connected with them, but you were disappointed because it wasn't going like the direction you wanted. Like, did you have expectations that it was supposed to go a certain way?
Yeah, as soon as I eased up off the gas pedal, the friendship started fizzling. And I even tested it with a few friends where the only thing that I did was stop initiating a message,
Okay.
and there was just no more contact. And that kind of hurt.
Hmm.
It felt like it was more of just a convenience thing, and I wasn't worth it, or the friendship wasn't worth it unless it was made easy for them.
And do you feel like you were always the person? You were always the person trying to like inject friendship into like your friends, like
Yep.
trying to like be the binder.
Let's hang
between
out.
them.
Yeah, I was the logistical person.
Did you get really hurt or like emotionally hurt when it came to like not getting that back, like what you wanted? Does that make sense?
I think it felt. I was definitely confused. Because it felt like something that I wanted, but it looked like no one else wanted it.
Okay.
Even amongst their other friends, it was just a tenuous connection, and not that deep, and not that integrated, and not that intimate.
Yeah.
And I wanted more, but I think I was looking for something that most people weren't.
Okay. And what was that you were wanting? What were you wanting,
I actually
JT?
just read about the three different types of friendship according to Aristotle.
Okay.
He has a friendship of utility, of pleasure, and of virtue.
Okay.
And
what's the difference between
the
those?
utility is where each person benefits from something, where it's like work buddies, or they're providing something for one another.
Okay.
There's the type of pleasure where they're just enjoying spending time around each other.
Okay.
And then the friendship of virtue is, Aristotle calls it a complete friendship, where it's a relationship between two people committed to each other's moral growth, valuing one another for who they genuinely are.
Oh, wow.
And that felt like what I was looking for of, hey, I love you and you love me. I see something that I don't think you see that you would like to know.
Yeah.
And you can tell me about those blind spots too. I thought that's what everybody wanted. I thought that's what the only type of friendship was. And I wish I had known about the other two types of friendship, because I think that's what most people were looking for.
Yeah. So you were looking for more of like a friend that kind of wants to help like motivate you to become like your best self, and to like not like pressure you into like becoming a better version, but to like assist or support, like kind
I mean,
of.
back then I would have called them an accountability partner.
Okay.
It was like someone I tell everything to, and they're like, all right, you messed up this week, but next week you can do better. And so it was kind of like that, but I called it an accountability partner.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You were like, and you found this stuff out more recently, right?
Yeah.
So what was different between what you were envisioning back then, what you were looking for, versus maybe now, after you've done some like research and kind of understood this a little bit more?
I really not that much difference, but it's about where we should point at. I thought there was one correct answer because of the Bible being the answer. But
Mm,
now
which it is.
but now I think that I can help someone be something that I may not even recommend. But because they want to be that, then I want to support them. And I guess that's the main difference.
Okay. So, how did it make you feel like after like learning these other two types of? You're saying one is more of like a kind of a give and take relationship where you're kind of getting some type of value for yourself and also giving a value like between the friends, and then the other one you said is more of just emotional like, connection.
Yeah, I enjoy the feelings that I feel when I'm around that person, or I enjoy the activities that we share together.
Okay.
I think that I've seen a place for, especially the one of pleasure, especially after becoming deeper friends with you, because our time together is really intense. I
Yeah, it
feel
is.
like we have a list of things to talk about that's endless, and we can just jump from one thing to the other,
Yeah.
and it's tiring. But like developing yourself, like working out would be tiring. It's a good type of tiring. But
Yeah.
the other type of friendship where you can just be and enjoy that time and not feel that you need to be productive or be working towards something, it fills a different niche of friendship, a different type of connection that I did not see value in before. And it may have been because I didn't have this type of friendship to kind of set as the bar.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because I feel like I'm me personally. I feel like I'm not a good friend when it comes to those other two types. Like I feel like I mean, this is like kind of sad, but I feel like I have a really hard time connecting with people of just being present around people and people enjoying that for me, um, or just being one of those type of people that's just giving to someone else. Like I feel like I always want I just want to be a like a friend who is like a motivator, and because I care like passionately about people and I want them to like be happy. And because of that, I really focus a lot on trying to understand where you're coming from in your life, where like you're trying to go, and I want like my best. I want to do the best to support you, but I've had a really hard time with some friends like in the past where they don't want any of that. They don't want to grow in some way. They don't want to better themselves. They don't want to like learn new things. And I've had a really hard time maintaining those relationships because I think it's kind of like what you're describing. I wasn't really aware that this is the type of relationships that I was wanting when it comes to friends, but it's more of just like the social standard of these type of friendships of just spending time together, connecting, just like pretty simple friendships. And those are I don't think any of those are bad. It's just not the type of that I'm looking for. And yeah, I think our friendship is really valuable to me because I it's almost like therapeutic. I feel like sometimes when we have conversations, we like really understand each other. There's not a lot of judgment between each of us, and when we hang out, it's like, hey, I've had this thought in my mind, and the thought can just be like pretty abstract or very very deep, and some people would get uncomfortable like discussing details of things like this, or that it's like too vulnerable. But I find it really helpful because I feel like I can share how I'm feeling at any state of my life with you, and I feel like you do a really good job of trying to put yourself in my shoes and relate it to your own experience. And just because of that, I think we have really interesting conversations, and it's very like healing in a way because I feel like I'm getting honest feedback from you, which is what I want from people. I want feedback about if you understand me well enough. I want feedback about what I'm missing in my own life and who I am and what I'm trying to do that my own personal blinders are on. So I just want to say that I appreciate that
Oh,
and
you're
respect
welcome.
that a lot from
Yeah,
you.
I like that we can say you live your life in a way that I don't prefer, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I live my life in a way that you don't prefer, and that's okay.
Yeah. I just get a little resentful. No, I'm just kidding.
But we can say, well, if I did imagine living it your way, Okay, now this is how I would handle that situation.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of one of the unique things that we can do.
Yeah, which is very empathetic. Like that the fact that you're putting in effort to try understanding the other person's like perspective. And I think that's such a helpful thing. I think that's one of the reasons we have such a close relationship is because we both put equal amount of effort into really understanding who the other person is.
Well, it's like that thing, you're much better at taking care of someone that's not you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And so I think I've been looking for that friendship that's kind of like the blind spot type of friendship where someone has my best interests and can see stuff that I can't see.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to the other types of friendship. You're saying you're not looking for that type of friendship.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're only looking for friendships where you give, give, give.
Yeah. Is this
And
something I'm going to say this. Is this something that you've like noticed about me a lot?
yes,
Okay.
you're always trying to give.
Yeah.
And it's very appreciated. I can tell all the people around you really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I think you should let yourself just take sometimes. And that feels like it would come from the friendship of pleasure or the friendship of utility with someone. Do you think you could let yourself do that?
I mean, that's a really good question, and it's something I feel like I've been trying to work on a lot, like over the last like year or more. Um, I feel like I'm very hyper like independent, and this is like something I've like a term I've heard about, which is where someone kind of grows up in a type of lifestyle where they have to take care of themselves and they're not really used to being taken care of from other people, maybe emotionally or like physically. Not saying I had like a bad childhood, but I was definitely lacking some type of emotional support. Because I also grew up in a very like religious family that I'm not religious anymore, but there's a lot of complexity when it comes to religion, which I bet we'll have a conversation another day about. But because of this, since like I moved out when I was like 17 and had to just like take care of myself. I still like moved in with my brother and he helped support me in that way. But I I kind of had to do everything in my life for myself. I had to like teach myself how credit cards work. I had to teach myself how to even like get an apartment. What is the application process? How to do taxes? Like I think because of when I was like so young and having to just like adapt and take care of myself in these ways and learn and being kind of too afraid to ask people in some way. Um over time I've gotten really bad at asking for help from things or asking things from other people that I actually need. Because I mean I'm in my like early 30s now and I still have this problem and I'm getting better at asking for help, but at the same time I'm good at taking care of myself. I'm good at learning new things and I'm good at like m- solving problems that I need to for like my own life or for like my kids or like for my family. But I don't know if that's a good thing always.
I mean,
And
you may be good at taking care of yourself, but someone else is probably going to be able to do it better.
yes, or that I'm missing things
Yeah,
that
there's some
yeah.
holes.
I think there are lots of holes. Like my life is like Swiss cheese in that way. I think there's many holes that like I'm not aware of support and comfort, like emotional support and comfort. And so because of that, when I have friends, I feel like I'm constantly just trying to do things for them because one, I care about people and as our podcast like audience starts learning more about us, there's a lot of like deep reasons for that. I don't have to go into details right now about, but because I care about people and because I want to better myself and to grow and to learn, because I find all those things really interesting and exciting and helpful in my life, I have a hard time having friends where they're giving me something in return. And I don't think it's healthy to be a person who's just giving constantly because I think and I looking back in my life, I feel like I've gotten burned out many, many times with friends, with honestly just like many different experiences in my life. And I think a big reason for that is because I don't know how to ask for things from people or how to accept help from friends. And because of that, it's kind of dictated the direction of what type of friends I've made. I think I, for longest time, would make friends with people that needed help, that needed support. And I was happy to be there because I feel like I was able to support them and maybe give them ideas for how to approach different things, or also just kind of being a wall for them to bounce ideas off of, kind of like we were describing with like our relationship. But then they would get to a point where I feel like with these friends I would make over like the years, they wouldn't need as much help anymore because like
You'd helped them.
I did help them. Yeah. And I'm not saying like I fixed them or like saved them, but I feel like a lot of people need emotional support. And I think just by being there for someone is very healing and helpful. And but then the relationships would slowly turn into like, hey, you just want to like just like hang out. And I don't know how to do that.
That's interesting. I see the need that you have for that type of friend, and I want to help you with that, but I don't think I can. I think it
Okay.
has to be someone else.
Okay.
We get so much time to spend together,
Yeah.
and it feels like we gotta get to business about to talking.
Yes.
But you need a friend that you can just be with. I don't know what you would be doing. Some kind of not that difficult of an activity.
Yeah. So first off, what do you observe in me that makes you feel that way? I'm just curious, like, to hear your perspective on it.
I mean, whenever we are together, I can just see your eyes looking to make sure that everyone's got everything that they need.
Hmm.
At the end of a night of dancing, you just look like you are a grandmother nanny of 17 babies, and you're
Oh
like,
my
oh,
God.
oh, I can finally relax. The night's over. That was so good, but man, I'm tired. And I really value the way that you bring people into the group, dancing wise or not dancing wise.
Yeah.
But you need to not do that sometimes, I think.
Yeah. And just to be clear, we go like to raves and go dancing, and yeah, we have a really great time with that.
Yep. And I'm very new to that since 3 months or something.
Yeah. But again, I feel like I'm excited for where this podcast is going to go, because I feel like there's a lot of different topics we can discuss about a lot of these things,
Yep.
like even like raves. But no, I mean, I think you're right. I get like, it's hard for me to become aware of the fact that I'm exhausted because I'm trying to support people emotionally. Um, which is interesting because my grandma and my mom are actually have this exact same problem, which is they're constantly giving and like cooking food for people, making sure everyone's comfortable, but they never give themselves enough time for what they need. So yeah, with your depiction of that, I would agree. I think it's accurate.
My mom is the same way, actually, where she will give and give and give, and then something doesn't go her way. And then she's like, I gave so much, and she gave too much, and then she gets angry because people
Mm.
aren't being agreeable with how she wants to do it.
It's
And
almost like a manipulation tactic to get what she wanted.
it's not intentional. I
Okay.
think it's just like a people pleasing type thing, and trying to help and help and help, and then you're out of energy, and
Yeah.
you can't believe other people aren't trying to help and help and help you too, or something like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask about the idea of you are the average of your 5 closest friends.
Yeah, I've heard you describe this a couple times, and I really like this concept a lot.
So when I went to this community, a new community to me,
Okay.
and everyone there was significantly more emotionally mature than I was, and it was really intimidating. And I was like, I don't think I am comfortable in this community. Then I thought of that question, or that statement of, you are the average of your 5 closest friends.
Yeah.
Do I only want to hang around people that are the same emotional maturity as I am or less,
Yeah.
so that I feel comfortable? Like, absolutely not. But that means that I'm going to have to say yes to a type of friend that is uncomfortable. So if you are picking your 5 closest friends,
Uh-huh.
don't you want one of them to be the one that helps you?
Yeah, I mean, this is really really interesting because it's a great question. I think in my mind, I have this idea that the difficulty of a friendship would be more of like growth or like of like evolving or growing in improving myself in some way where it's like, oh, I get to try this like new thing that I'm like really uncomfortable and get to do, or that they teach me something intellectually about myself or like psychologically. But all of those things that I feel like I what my idea and my beliefs are about what growing would be, I feel like it's lacking the inverse, which is how to feel safe, how to feel comfortable, how to relax. These are all things that I just do not know how to do. And I think you're completely right that I think it would be extremely valuable for me to have more friends that live that type of life and can rub off of me in those ways. But this is the craziest part is I think I'm just learning this last year that that is something valuable. I've never thought that having friends that can just like hang out and relax and feel like emotionally and physically safe with is something valuable for me. And that's
Mm.
something I've really had to like alter my beliefs about. Um, so yeah, I think you're right. It would be better for me to have in my 5 friend group to have a couple more maybe people that would have a different lifestyle than me or a different direction that they want to go in. That makes sense.
Do you feel like you've had someone to be a confidant for most of your life or much of your life?
What do you mean by confidant?
Someone that you can go to and tell pretty much anything, or maybe it's someone that you do tell pretty much everything to.
Oh yeah. Man, yeah. I feel like this goes into a really deep like.
I started asking people about, do they have a best friend? It was probably 10 years ago,
Mhm.
because I've had a best friend since I was, well, I met him when I was 8,
Okay.
and our friendship developed over like 1 week per year at summer camp. But then when we learned to drive, we started hanging out all the time. And he stayed my best friend on and off for decades. And I realized not many people had that. And I was asking people about the idea of a best friend, and some people thought it was rude.
Oh really?
Yeah, to have one friend that was above everyone else. And from my perspective, they just didn't understand what the idea of a best friend was. And I think it is kind of like a confidant, someone that they like you, all of you, the good and the bad, and they like hearing whatever you have to say, no matter how small or minute it is. And they're going to tell you the truth when you ask them for it, maybe even if you don't.
Yeah.
Yes, so I've had that for a long time, and I just heard recently that 65% of men don't have a confidant, and I hate that idea. It made me feel panicky at the idea of not having one.
Wow. And you found that really valuable growing up having that.
Yeah, it felt like someone to fall back on, and it's someone that's there to love me even if no one else is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I think I had that in small amounts, but it was all family based.
Hmm.
Um I guess just to get like a little more personal, like the way I grew up, I my I have a okay, I'll give this disclaimer. I have a much better relationship with my parents now than because I've like worked through some of this stuff, but emotionally, I was never really able to share how I felt with my family, with my parents specifically. My dad would get angry at me from hearing things that made him uncomfortable about how I felt. My mom would cry whenever I would share how I felt about things because it make her uncomfortable. And if I made my mom cry, my dad would get angry. If my dad got angry, my mom would cry. So most of my childhood, I feel like I was really trained to not share how I feel with people. But there were a few like one of my cousins, I me and him both like the exact same age. We've been hanging out since we're like 1 years old or even younger probably. And me and him, I feel like I had that relationship with him, which is like it'd be like super late at night and we would just like share like what it is we're like even thinking about, like being really vulnerable with each other in like weird, silly ways. And so I really felt like he was the type of friend, but I didn't get to like hang out with him all the time. And I had some of my I mean, I'm a middle child of 6 siblings, and I I feel like I have that type of friendship with them with like my older brother and like my sister, both my brothers and like my sisters as I've gotten older. I feel like I find like over the last 5, 6 years, I've kind of had that friendship with them where like I can like share how I'm feeling and they give me feedback and we're just like silly but serious at the same time, which is helpful. Um, but I've never really had that with like with friends. I've never really had that with even in relationships, I don't think. And so I'm not really used to it, but I do think there's a huge value in that.
It feels like an acquired taste for food, where it's kind of hard to swallow that type of friendship at first.
Yeah.
It's like someone stepping on your live's toes.
Yeah. I feel
But
like it's almost like a game in a way where if you know the rules of the game, you understand what's kind of going on, which is like, yeah, I might say something kind of blunt and honest about how I'm like perceiving you and what you're doing. But if you know that you can do that to them too, and that like you're kind of that's a good thing, then it's a lot easier to play that game. But if you're not playing that game and you don't know the rules and you're like, why the fuck are you like saying this to me? Why are you calling me out or like making me feel bad? It's like, oh no, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I'm just doing the thing that I want from other people.
one of the things that you are really good at is complimenting people, is seeing, like getting to know them,
Okay.
seeing who they are, what they do, and then just saying, "Hey, this part about you, I love it." And I liked that from the very beginning. I could tell that one of the first times we hung out, but it became so much more meaningful after you said things like you said no to me. And the most recent example is I played a song for you, and I was like, "What do you think of this?" And you're like, Actually, I despise this whole type of music."
Yeah.
And you're right about that blunt piece of information, just being direct and laying it on me.
Yeah.
It makes the compliments feel so much more meaningful because
Mm.
I know you'll say something that might piss me off or might hurt me a little bit just because it's real.
Yeah.
And so the things that you say that are positive, I think that's one of the most valuable things about you is you are, I know exactly what you mean, or I know that you mean exactly what you say, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I mean, well, I appreciate you saying that. Like, you really see. I have a hard time accepting that I'm good at things.
You- you're having a hard time accepting that you're good at praising other people.
Yeah.
You're,
See, this is like where it's like such bullshit because like I will give you apparently I give you really good compliments or to people in general, but then when someone tries doing that back, I don't know how to accept it. So, um, but like I really appreciate you saying that, and like I feel like as we've become closer friends in over the last like year and a half now, um, I feel like I feel the same way about you, where there's something to like knowing that someone's really honest, i- along with like emotional intelligence, like they're trying to learn about themselves and understand themselves well, and that like kind of translates into like being honest, like sharing how they feel. And so having like a friend like you who's also very honest and, and shares how they feel, it's I think it just makes things so much easier. And I think because you're like someone's like honest, the things that they say to you are going to be honest. So if someone's saying a nice thing to you, then they really mean that, and that's nice. But it needs that contrast between like kind things and also things that might hurt your feelings.
coming from the South, that idea of boundaries and saying the negative thing is so foreign.
Really?
Yeah, it's rude in the short term, I think, to set boundaries. It feels rude, but I think that it's the a loving thing long term, and being just honest with, oh no, I don't like that type of music, or I don't want to watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels, you just know where you stand with someone when you live that way.
Yeah, but like, how do you feel about hurting people's feelings? Like, how do you feel about like if you like someone and care about them, but they get upset about what you say? Like, how do you handle or how do you like process that type of situation?
I try to think about it if it was coming from the other way of they're saying this and I'm saying this because I love this person, and or what was the question? If someone says something to me and it hurts my
No, if
feelings,
you say something to someone else and they don't like that or they react negatively to it.
I heard a really good tip of whenever you're going to give someone advice, say, do you, or the phrasing was, are you resourced for advice right now?
Yeah.
Do you have enough emotional capacity to handle something that's going to cause you to topple a little bit?
Yeah.
And I think that that's the thing to do first, is just say, are you able to handle this right now? And I think that the feelings won't be as strong, the hurt feelings, if I do say something in that case.
Okay. So you're just like giving like a disclaimer that like before you even like speak
I
about it,
have
that helps
something
you
to
out.
say from a place of love that might upset you, is now a good time to tell you.
Does anyone ever say no to that? Because most of my experience is that people are like, they become curious and they still allow it to like, they still want to hear it, but it might like really hurt them.
I don't think anyone has said no, but it's almost like an insurance policy where it makes them
Sorry, I
it,
had a
it, it
burp.
it makes them say, if I say no to this, I'm not going to be able to hear what this is right now.
Yeah.
But if I say yes to this, then I'm going to have to be a big boy and stay mature and in control.
That's interesting. It almost like forces the person by them asking that question to themselves to become in a state of like self-reflection.
Yep. How do I feel right now?
Yeah. So even if they might not like really like be ready for that, like there's still, it's seems like it's still helpful to get them into that place versus they might be more reactionary if like you say something and they just like, why the fuck are you saying this to me?
I know
Hmm.
I started asking people about this idea because a friend was in a relationship that I could see was not good, and I didn't know how to handle that. And when I talked to people, they said, preface it with, I have some advice. Are you ready to hear it? And it that allowed me to live more authentically with all of my friends,
Hmm.
because I felt like if I had something that I felt I needed to tell them, it gave me a path to get there, and they can say no to it if they want.
Yeah. Interesting. And so a question just kind of came to my mind, or like a direction I feel like we can kind of go that I think might be helpful is do you think having kind of hard conversations with people builds like a stronger friendship or strong like relationship with someone? Like dealing with like hardship in that way. Does that question make sense at all?
Yeah, I'm actually reminded of a therapy session where, or it was actually my daughter's therapy session that I got called into, and my therapist, or our therapist, was like, "We, I need you to make a repair with your daughter." And so
Oh,
my daughter tells me what she needs to repair about, and we go through it. And then she leaves, and my daughter leaves, and I continue my therapy session. And my therapist pointed out, aren't you glad that your daughter cares enough to have this really uncomfortable conversation with you?
oh,
And it made me realize a lot of people would just ghost me or just let the friendship fall away or the relationship fall away.
yeah,
But the people that are willing to say, like, hey, I'm angry about something, you pissed me off, I can't believe you said that, they're coming to you saying, I care enough about this relationship that I want to work through that. And so I think it feels so uncomfortable, but after that, you're going to be much closer.
wow, that's actually a really good example of that. First of all, I think that's really cool that that your kids even like see a therapist because I feel like that's really helpful. Um, one of the things that kind of came to my mind as I was asking that question was I think it's really interesting that childhood friends are usually the ones that kind of like maintain or like feel like the strongest as you're like growing up. And I've thought about this a lot, and I feel like one of the reasons why that might be the case is because when you're growing up, when you're like a teenager, you're kind of dealing with a lot of uncomfortable shit. Especially if you're going through puberty and you're like you look deformed, like in, in some way for like a short term period, and then people like are bowling because they're uncomfortable about how they look and how they feel, and so it's just like this really big situation where everyone's just like picking on each other in some way because everyone's like uncomfortable. Um, but a lot of my friends, I felt like I became very close with because I guess they were kind of like there partially with me going through the same like torment in some way. And yeah, so I feel like coming out of like natural hardship when it comes to like growing up, those friends were the strongest because I there was a lot more vulnerability that there because they were seeing what I was going through and maybe they were going through the same thing. There was less judgment and less like of emotional walls between us, and so we like kind of bonded and connected more in that way. And so I'm curious how you feel about making friends as an adult, like strong emotional connections with adults. Is that easy for you? Do you have a hard time with it? Like what's like a temp check on how you feel about that in the current like
I
world?
think I would find it easy if it was more available.
Okay.
I think it's hard to find that person. I heard someone say that they hide their depth because they're kind of embarrassed about it. And
Oh man, I feel like that's just like so sad.
yeah, people that are looking for that depth aren't going to see it. I was going to say something about, oh, I heard that a lot of the times people are given leave just before a battle in the military and
Okay.
they go get drunk together. And that bonding causes them to be a tighter unit.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I think that's really interesting. And so it's almost like with our friends, if we want to be really close, let's sign up and do really hard things together, things that take us out of our comfort zone because it causes you to bond. I've heard to connect with someone, start a new hobby that's new for both of you together.
Yeah. That's really interesting about alcohol specifically because I feel like that's more of like what the college like scene is or like young adults. And I mean, if you go into like a nightclub, you kind of experience that. It's almost like this weird, like grand adventure between people where one of your friends is like way too drunk and like throwing up, and then one friend's kind of going crazy, and then it's like this adventure of like trying to take care and manage and support. And so it's like almost like this like self-induced situation where there is hardship. And so there is a natural bonding experience that happens with that. But I think it's really sad because I think that's one of the reasons why like we people have like a really hard time with like alcohol, or like there's a dependency when it comes to being vulnerable with alcohol, is that we're kind of like training ourselves as adults to need this substance that kind of shuts down our like prefrontal cortex and our like critical thinking aspect of our minds. And so when we are sober and we are thinking, which everyone normally is, when they're not like when they're sober from alcohol, it's really hard to kind of break through that awkwardness when you're talking to someone. It's almost like people need some type of experience to kind of shut off their brain or just not be thinking about themselves or other people too much to just like be in the moment and connect and build a friendship. And so it's one of the reasons I feel like I feel like because I want to like connect, I love connecting with people. I love meeting new people, and I love kind of like showing to people that you can have like a friendship that doesn't require like all these like like social norms that exist in the world. But one of like some of those things is like dancing. I feel like dancing is a really really amazing one. Does it help to use substances for that sometimes? Oh, 100%. But is it necessary? No, it's almost like those are just kind of like shortcuts or help like assist to get to that place where you can like express yourself and be silly and have fun and not overthink shit so much and have other people bond with you in that same way. And so I don't know, I'm just really interested and curious in finding more ways of doing that without finding more ways to make friends being fully yourself and them being fully themselves versus needing some type of situation that kind of dances around the fact that you are two like adult human beings that have like all these like this like long life experiences and how to connect.
That's really difficult. Of when you find someone, what do you do with them? It feels like go get a drink.
Yes.
That's the thing. Or and I just want to talk. I just want to talk.
Yeah.
And that's a really strange thing, especially for a guy to invite another guy to do. And I've done it with a few people, especially recently, and it's been
Mm,
great, but it feels uncomfortable. And it's almost like they're like, What are we going to do? What are we going to look at?"
yeah. I feel like it's almost it's just like really sad, but I feel like people kind of take that as you're like I mean, maybe I think the world is becoming less of this way, but being a guy, especially like where we're like from or where we're living like currently, sometimes it's really hard being like an emotional guy because you get seen as kind of like a more like feminine kind of or I've had people categorize me as like thinking that like I'm gay or bisexual just because I enjoy emotions and conversations and connecting with people. And so I think it's really sad that a lot of guys get uncomfortable with that they think that like I think a lot of guys are not don't feel safe enough to really share how they feel, or they interpret someone else trying to like evoke that out of them as like being hit on in some way. And I don't know. I just find that really sad because it's it's so freeing to have people around you that you can really just be your full self with and share how you feel and not worry about judgment. And fuck, it makes that's it makes like life worth living. Like if you're just a shell of yourself trying to like pretend to be this fake small subset of yourself, that's a really depressing life. And I think it's also interesting that it seems like a lot of like typical guys want to just it's one of the reasons maybe they play sports together is because it's a way to kind of connect and bond and let like some emotions out like anger and frustration or like team building in some way through like an activity. But there's a lot lacking when it comes to connection and friendships from doing just activities like that.
Yeah, I heard that women like to connect face to face, and men want to do the activities side by side. I thought
Hmm.
that was interesting. It does explain what you're talking about. Is that optimal though? Like I feel like I want to be able to connect face to face and side by side.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a would be a pretty broad generalization just because I feel like I think like there's so many different types of guys and so many types of like women. And so it's there might be some I mean like me and you there's men for sure that like to connect with people like emotionally and speaking, but if there's like a larger population where it is broken down that distinct, yeah, that's I feel like there's a lot lacking in that way.
So if you've just met a potential new friend, what do you invite them to do?
Well, I would even start like before that. Like, what potentially even gets me can like to want to like hang out with someone or feel like there's something there to become like a friendship. I think I'm usually looking for like that, like either one, a really excitable, like silly side that's really fun to like mess around with, or emotionally or expressive in some way, like artistically expressive. Um, or that I feel like has like a skill or ability that I find really intriguing and want to like learn more about that. But I feel like a lot of that has to do with um yeah, I think there is some type of like emotional connection to all those things. So that I think that's like there's like a pre-connection
Okay.
with someone before hanging out with them. But as things to do, I like going to like coffee shops. I feel like that's a really good one. Just as but then again, like I feel like I'm limiting it because I just want to have a conversation and get to know them. And I think some people appreciate this. I think most people I've met appreciate this, but there's some that get uncomfortable by it. But I like having deep conversations with someone I don't like really know too well. And a lot of them seem surprised that I care enough to even ask some type of like some line of question of being like, who are you really outside of this like persona that you're like giving off? Um, Dancing is another one. I feel like I every once in a while go to like dance clubs and go dancing, just have fun. I get pretty wild dancing, as you probably know.
Yep.
Um, but I feel like uh, I think that's a really fun one if people are open to that type of experience. I feel like I could keep naming and listing a bunch of these different
I
ones.
think that
Yeah,
it would be
but
hard for you to like, hey, I met you the other night. Do you want to go dancing? Like, is that what you're saying you would do for the first activity out with a new person? Because that's where I feel stuck. Is I've got
mm,
people I want to try to hang out with. Probably 5 or 6 different people that I met surfing on the river wave this summer. But
yeah,
it feels like a lot of people can't go out for coffee in the morning, and I do like that one. But inviting them dancing feels like way too much.
yeah, I would agree. I think you're probably right. Yeah,
And so I'm trying to find a good activity. It's like there needs to be a new bar, a new alcohol that's non-alcoholic. I don't know what it is, but I feel like that's a problem that people have is just not knowing what to do with someone or thinking maybe it's thinking that you have to do something.
yeah. I think it's in my opinion. I think it's a lot of what you're just saying, that the fact that we have to like distract ourselves. There has to be some type of thing that we're doing as a way to get to know someone.
So I just need to get over myself and just say, "Hey, would you like to just hang out and talk?"
Yeah, it can either be that or like, uh, I mean, I would say there's probably some type of reason you want to hang out with someone. Like underlying, there's like some type of interest. Whether you find the person fascinating because like they're who they are, what they like doing, or they maybe relate to you in some way. Or you talk about more of like that third category of what you're saying of just like have you ever met someone that you want to hang out with that you don't feel like you're getting anything from, but you care about that person?
I don't know.
I mean, it's
I
a tough
think
question.
I don't think so. I think what if I feel comforted, if I feel loved, if I feel belonging, then I do feel like I'm getting something from them.
Yeah.
And I think some people are really good at that of just making you feel accepted for just who you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's a valuable type of friend to have. Just yeah, the way you feel around them. I think that's the friendship of pleasure.
Yeah. What about like have you ever like just met someone that you can tell is like having a really hard time with their life, like maybe like mental health issues, and you just like randomly have like a casual conversation and you can tell someone's in help, and so you kind of like that third category of how'd you describe it again, of like trying to uplift someone or help someone like
Yeah,
grow with
grow.
you?
Yeah. Let me they're committed to each other's moral growth, valuing one another for who they genuinely are.
Yeah. Like, have you ever had that type of relationship with someone of just seeing someone in need and wanting to kind of like help them in some way?
Yeah, I have found those relationships. I think they're
That's a kind of a loaded question because I feel like if you said no, then it's like perceived as you're an asshole. So I'm sorry the
no,
way I worded that.
I think that those
Do
types
you
of
ever help
friendships
people?
are tricky because w- what if the other person interprets it as, "Wow, we're really close friends. I want to hang out all the time."
Yeah, I've had that problem quite a few times actually.
I think this is something I've wondered about. What do you do in that situation? But and related to this of how do you end a friendship or how do you know if a friendship is over? And is it okay to end a friendship?
Yeah, I feel like I've thought about this quite a bit too because like I feel like there's all these different like I think it depends on how you what you view a friendship as like an entire belief of behind a friendship. I mean, kind of like you were describing when you were like younger that you thought friendships were just like forever and you're gonna like be like in heaven with this person. But what if friendships don't last forever? Like I guess I'm leaning more towards my own belief. I don't know if any type of relationship is supposed to last forever. Sometimes I feel like people come in and out of your life at certain points, and that connection, that thing that's connecting you to that person or what you're finding valuable, or maybe they're finding something valuable for you, like whatever type of relationship that is. Um, I think there's going to be a certain point where maybe there's nothing more there. Maybe it becomes like energetically mute because
But the
each,
chances of it being the same for both people at the same time, like if it was the same for both people at the same time, great.
yeah.
It has been a pleasure being friends with you. Goodbye. But
Oh,
that's not how it is. It's
yeah.
like, oh man, I'm getting kind of tired of this friendship. And this other person's like, oh dang, I love this person.
Yeah. I mean, would you say that almost all of your relationships have that type of like an
Yes.
uneven
Yes.
balance? Yeah.
And it feels like ending any relationship feels, I mean, I was going to say impossible, but really
Sure.
what I mean is impossible to do without pain.
Yeah, it's not like socially acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's tough because I've had situations where I feel like I've had to move on from a lot of different friendships because we were just going different directions. Things that I want to do differently and things they want to do differently. And there's no judgment towards them in any way.
Yeah. I've done that too. But almost all those, we just ghosted each other.
Like that's the only way to actually do it.
Yeah. And I
Huh.
don't love that. I wish it was more polite or socially acceptable.
Yeah, like how do you slowly like inch out of like I mean, friendships are relationships in a way. So there is like a kind of like a breakup period. Even even if you're like married to someone and you're still good friends with them and you go through divorce and everything's like settled, there's still like this awkward period where you have to like inch out of each other's lives. And so maybe there's not like a good way of doing that because no matter what, there's gonna be something missed. And I think of this about relationships, like you're kind of creating something between the other person. You're like your identity is being altered in some way when you're friends of someone. And that's what the relationship is like your identities together in this like mesh. And so I think it's one of the reasons why people, and this again, this is my opinion. When people like break up from a relationship, they feel like a part of them has like died or like they don't know who they are anymore because their identities associated with them together. And so I think no matter what, there is going to be sadness in that because you are losing a part of yourself in some way. But I think if you could be more optimistic and look at the beauty of what that was, then I think that's much easier to kind of like give up. But both people have to be on the same page for that. And how do you get on the same page for that?
Yeah, that's the difficult part is getting to that page together. That feels like I've never had anyone ever do that with me. I heard about this idea from someone saying that when they dated someone, they wanted to sign a breakup contract beforehand. And I was
What?
like, "Oh, I've never thought of this idea of thinking of the end
It's like
before the beginning."
yeah, it's like a relationship prenup.
Basically, of this is we really like each other and these are the values that we have before any mess comes in.
Yeah.
So whenever it is over, we can point back to that. I think that's an interesting idea. But
That is. I mean, that's very honest. I mean, that's very blunt, honest, like between both people to agree with that. So let's make ours, JT, like in a hypothetical situation of us, like like maybe like 10 years from now, or like just like we don't, maybe 5 years, maybe it's even after this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
in 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, but like, how would you like this if one of us feels like we're not getting what we need from this anymore and it's becoming, I'm trying to think of a nice way of like saying like of even categorizing a relationship where one person feels like it's not necessary anymore. So I'm not gonna describe it. I'm just gonna leave it as that. How
I'm
would you want
already
it?
perfectly moral and virtuous, so goodbye. No more need.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you describe when the end is? It's
How would you like me to like like phrase that to you, or if I felt that way, or how would you like to do it to
I want to
me?
know before then. I
It,
want to know, hey, I think things are headed this direction, and if that's the way they're headed, then I think we're going to part ways.
do we just like need to like once a month just like set a rating for what we feel like are like the battery powered or the power behind like our friendship? If like, you know, like next month, right? Like 10 out of 10. And then like a month later, it's like 9 out of 10.
Oh shit.
Maybe it goes 6 out of 10. We argue
Oh
one time,
geez.
but then it goes back up to 9 again. But then, over time, we don't have to say a single fucking word. Just like, oh man, it's 3 out of 10. Oh shit, 2 out of 10. And then you get to decide when to do that, when to cut it off. Do you like this idea or is this too much?
I think that this sounds like a lot of like a logistical nightmare. Every month we got to have a dinner where we just like expose ourselves and be really vulnerable.
Yeah. I feel like we just need to be honest with each other. Like, I don't know. Yeah, this is tough. I don't know. I don't know if there's a good answer or a good way, like, way
I
to
think
solve
it
it.
feels like it's a live thing that's got to be happening all the time.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to say, I fucking despise that type of music,
Yeah.
then I think that's probably a good sign that we are still growing closer.
Oh yeah, I agree, and I was actually really proud of myself in that moment of saying that about the music thing, because it did go through my head of being like, shit, is he gonna like is this gonna like annoy him of the fact that like I don't like this type of like music, which is like now looking back, that's like such a lame thing to like even worry about. It's such bullshit, but um, I think that's still something I can kind of work on for myself personally. Is I feel like I don't give myself enough time to breathe. And what I mean by that is enough time to like respond when someone asks me something, of like self reflect when someone asks me a question and give an honest answer in that moment, whatever that is. Sometimes I feel like I go so fast that I I just give a quick response very, very fast. And sometimes I look back and go, oh, you know what? I actually don't know if I really like fully meant that. Almost like kind of like a default response in some way. I feel like I'm getting much better at it because of like my friendship with you, our relationship, and some of my other friends. Like I feel like I am getting more comfortable with being more honest about myself, and I think that's a really good thing. But it doesn't mean it's still not hard. It is hard, like being honest.
Yeah, I feel like we've had some conversations where you say something, we have some discussion, and then you say that thing I said before, I'm gonna take it back, and that's a really good example for me because it makes it so that that's a safe thing to do.
Mm. All right, here's a question for you. What do you feel like? What are some areas you feel like you could be better in a friendship?
Hmm.
If you don't answer this in like 10 seconds, I'm leaving. I'm just
With the magic of editing, we can make this be 1 second.
just a huge timer in the background.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Take your time, seriously.
1.
Actually, you know what? Maybe that's a little unfair for me to phrase it that way. What do you feel like? What do you feel like you're getting help with about yourself from like our friendship? Is that a better way of like? I think a little nicer way of phrasing it. So I don't know if it's good to just like dissect it enough to be like, I'm fucking terrible at this thing.
I think the thing that I have needed to do is to say I don't like that song. I think that's I think I've been people pleasing and scared about losing the friendship rather than leaning into it and
Okay.
being polarizing. Like this is how I am. And so I get loved for this kind of weaker version of myself. But if I could be more potent, be more concentrated, and put myself out there, put my opinions out there in a tactful, loving way,
Yeah.
then I'll feel loved a lot more because the raw, authentic, non-diluted version of me is the one that's being loved.
Mm.
So not people pleasing, just being more authentic, being sillier, answering quicker. Actually,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Well, you
actually.
failed that.
Like you say sometimes you answer really quickly and
Yeah.
you want to slow it down. Sometimes I think I would like to not think long enough to edit it, and so that it just comes out raw.
Interesting. So we're kind of opposites in that way then.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Huh. feel like that's interesting insight for maybe that's something that's really valuable for both of us to kind of like help balance that out.
Yeah, it's like I am scared that the raw version of me is not going to be liked. And for some reason, your fear is having to do with getting out the information faster.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it has to do with just like my job of quick problem solving. It's less emotional and more intellectual, which is like intellectually like thinking and processing like what would be like the best like approach to answering or solving this like problem or answering this question. But that removes how I feel about it. It's
Huh.
more of like a generalized response versus like, oh, how do I feel about this thing that I'm trying to answer?
Yeah, it's more of what is statistically speaking the right answer.
I'm like 6 FNR 4 4 4 4 4 4 4. I'm just kidding.
I have another logistical question for you. So
Okay.
you've invited the friend, you're hanging out, and I'll just be curious about the other person, or just let yourself be vulnerable and say the thoughts that come to your mind.
Okay.
But you've frozen in panic instead. And you just can't think of anything to say to this new person. What would you recommend to think about to calm yourself down, or what's a go-to to bring the conversation back?
Hmm. Okay. Well, the first thing pops in my head, I'm only going to be able to like answer that from my own experiences of having something similar happen like that.
I'll accept that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Um, Usually for me, when that starts happening, the reason why I am getting in my head is because I'm questioning myself. I am doubting my own interest. And what I mean by that is people being interested in me. I'm doubting my own capabilities of being able to ask questions that I think is interesting. And yeah, I'm just doubting my abilities to just connect with that person, or that I'm even worth, like, this person doesn't like hanging out with me. And maybe they're like upset. Like start worrying that they think they're upset at me or something like that. So for me, what's usually helpful in a situation like that is like trying to ground myself. And sometimes you can't always just like while you're hanging out with someone, just be like, hey, I'm gonna go do like a 5 minute meditation real fast. I mean, if you can, then that solves the problem to begin with. But in those moments of silence, kind of just like give like a reassurance to yourself of talking kindly, being like, okay, this is not the end of the world. I don't need to be like perfect. Like just like slowing down and like not catastrophizing the situation as much, and kind of trusting in the fact that in the free time, in that the silence, in the boredom of hanging out with this person, things will naturally come up, like questions, things to say. But you need to have like to slow down enough to be able to observe those things to come up.
So trying to think of the question or trying to think of the thought, that's what's keeping me from being able to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about just calling that out?
That if you're noticing that from someone,
If I no, in myself, where I'm like, I'm really uncomfortable. I don't know what to say.
oh yeah, I feel like that's really really helpful. Is just externalize it, because I think the whole problem is you're starting to just internalize everything, and so one way to
Hmm.
break that is to externalize it.
I had a therapist say to me, sometime when you're in a social setting and you're feeling uncomfortable, you should just go around and say, I'd like to just quiz everybody on a scale of 1 to 10 how comfortable they're feeling right now. And that felt unimaginable at the time, but it feels now like what we're talking about.
Yeah, I had like one of my old therapists actually kind of said something similar, which is like, um, it was she gave me like this like approach that if I'm feeling anxious, to just tell people that I'm anxious. That when in a
Hmm.
social situation, if I have anxiety, of just being like, I'm sorry, I'm having really bad anxiety right now, and just clearing the air like that. I did use it, and it actually does help, because I feel like I stop. I feel like a lot of my anxiety is social, when it comes to social anxiety, is worrying if people dislike me or if they're perceiving me in a weird way. And so by me just sharing that, it kind of removes the fact, because most people would be like, oh, I don't even know you're like anxious, or
I
like,
know
I'm
when I
sorry you
think
feel that
about
way.
this, I think it would totally work. And so now I'm really looking forward to telling someone I'm really anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should
I
do
do
it.
think it would work.
It helps out a lot. And the cool thing about it is when you do that, there's a high probability chance that other people are feeling anxious or who are in like the situation too. And so by saying that, actually, you potentially, if you're proactive about it, you're potentially helping relieve their anxiety
Yeah,
as
and you
well.
can bond over the shared hardship instead of suffering separately.
Yeah, you after the moment you say that, their anxiety goes away, and then you just like this halo of light goes around both of you, and you start shaking, and then it's like friendship achieved.
And then the half a heart bracelet or half a heart necklace appears on our neck.
Yes,
Yep.
that's how they're made.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like the storks and the babies. Like a stork brings the necklace to you. But yeah, in seriousness, like you should try that. It helps me out a lot, and it's something I've just like equipped um in like my abilities for. I don't know. I'm doing gaming references. I equip the ability when it comes to like social situations as a way to help me out.
It'll help you level up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
One other thing I've struggled with is I feel like my entire life I've had a whole huge variety of friends, and the idea of inviting them all together sounds awful.
What do you mean
And
by
I
that?
don't know if I'm too much of a friend slut where I'll just be friends with any type of person. But I feel like my friends are very different from each other. And the idea of saying, hey, 5 or 6 of you get together, there, I don't know. What do you think about this idea of bringing different friends together?
Oh man, I've stayed up multiple nights, not being able to sleep, worrying about things like this. So we have a friend group,
Yep.
of people that I've like introduced you to from like other friends that I've made.
That's why I asked you this, because you've done this.
Yeah. I was so nervous about it because beforehand I would kind of play out these scenarios in my mind, envisioning how people would like interact and where their differences like are individually, and so like potential like areas of like conflict between certain individuals. And so, just my intellectual mind is started like creating a simulation, imagining these scenarios of how this stuff would happen. um and I think I just had to get over that fact. I literally had to just like let go of my own control, because I think it's coming from a place of control. It's coming from a place of, how do I make this be the best situation possible? Well, you can't really control that. And if you try, you end up like me, where you just get emotionally like burnt out being around people because you're trying too hard.
It feels like I can go hang out with Gerald and I can have a really good time with Gerald. And then I go hang out with Cynthia and hang out with her and have a really good time with her. But if I bring them together, we're all going to have slightly worse of a time, is the story that goes into my head. And I think I forget about the connections that could be made, from my different friends to each other.
Yeah, I one of the things I guess I would recommend, and I don't know if this is like extremely helpful, or if this is like necessary, but finding, if you have enough friends that you want to like get a group together, kind of find like dipping your toes in the water by introducing certain friends to each other, like in smaller subgroups, I feel like kind of helps. So there's not that awkwardness in the beginning when there's like two people they can't like really connect with. But at the other like side, it's honestly like, if you are friends enough with these people and you care about them enough and they enjoy being around you enough, when you set up like a friend group, are they going to be uncomfortable? Yes, but that's also like a kind of a growing experience. And if you're a good friend, you know enough about different people that you can kind of like inject little conversations between it, being like, oh, this person likes this. What do you think about that? Because I know you kind of like this. And so you're like, you can kind of like build communication like channels for them by helping assist because you know them. Do you need all that responsibility on yourself to do that? Probably not, but that's what I usually do.
Yeah, I can imagine you doing that.
Yeah.
You mingle with the whole group, but you don't get to have one conversation yourself.
Yes, but it's an investment, because now look at the group. We have like 6 people that come hang out, maybe 7. and we like everyone's been like really connected to each other, and we've had really good emotional connections and experiences, and now it's much easier for me to hang out. Like once this like the social group starts like being able to work with each other instead of like me trying to be the person like orchestrating like the connections or hanging out, it's so much easier. Like I feel so relieved now. Like I
Hmm.
don't even like worry about it as much anymore.
It's interesting when I think about this after hearing what you said. I think it's me that's in the way of just thinking like I'm going to be judged for my friends by my other friends.
Yeah.
And I think I just need to get past that.
Well, I mean, one thing to say to that is if someone's like judging you for that, like that's kind of stupid. I
They're
mean,
out of the group.
yeah, they get kicked out. But
Hmm.
I mean, there might be good reasons for that. It could honestly be like an interesting conversation. Like it gets. I think it's even more difficult now because with social media and political like differences, people there's a lot more things that people can find that kind of make them dislike other people. And so I do think that gets difficult
Hmm.
where if someone's searching for differences between people, that person could have a really hard time connecting or cause like problems. But I don't know. I usually just try finding friends that I feel like are people that are open to other types of experiences, other types of cultures. Yeah.
You said that you usually look for a certain type of friend. What do you look for
Yeah.
before you speak to them? Is there something that you can see?
Well, I'm gonna pause here for a second and get a feeling for how I feel about this before I answer
Okay.
it. I don't know. I think there's different variables. Like I think there's different types of friends that I'm looking for different things. I don't think I'm looking for one specific thing. I like I really look for people that are very, I don't want to say confident because like I feel like people can be overly confident or arrogant and cocky. But I look for people that are confident in their expression of themselves. People who are self-aware and have like done put in some work to kind of get to know themselves a bit as adults, not just like not really like their social identities, but more of like how they feel about things, their own experiences, self-reflection, why they are the person they are. And with that, um I feel like I can just like connect with those people a lot easier, or that I respect them a lot because I can tell that they've put in the work to be who they are, and I really respect when people's identities are built off of hard work. Like I don't know, does that make any sense
I
at
feel
all?
like you can kind of see that from a person with their eye contact, their facial expressions, how willing they are to look at people, and what they do when they do look at people. Like
Oh yeah.
you smile very liberally when you first see someone, or maybe just all the time.
Yeah.
And there's a cashier at the grocery store that I go to that I feel like there's something different about her because she's so bright eyed and just sees people.
Mm.
I feel like there's something you can see in other people like that sometimes.
Oh, I completely agree. I think I can sense that in someone when they're very present with who they are. They understand themselves enough that they're not just living reactionary in the world, but they're living through choices that they want to make because they know who they are. But at the same time, I also do like connecting with people that I feel like are trying to do that. Um and not s- as I'm saying this, like it might come off that like I feel like I know everything about myself. I don't. There's lots of things I'm still working on. Um, but I am self-aware because I've worked on a lot of therapy, meditation, kind of stuff of understanding my own emotional reactions and where I come from. But I think another hard part is it's it's really hard to be that way in today's culture. It's really hard to be confident in yourself, in who you are, or understand yourself. And the reasons why I say that is I feel like with like social media and how much entertainment we have in the world, where you can just like you can literally just have dopamine hits after dopamine hit from all these different things, between like television, games, movies, porn, like whatever that is. You can just do that for the rest of your life and you're going to be like distracted from that. So I feel like some people have a hard time spending time with themselves to understand who they are, to get to that place. But I think a lot more people are like that than they think. They just don't have a whole lot of places to express it.
Hmm.
And I think it's one of the reasons why it's so important for any individual is who is self-aware to express themselves in the world, because it kind of creates this ripple effect of showcasing that you can be that way. And I've had situations with people that normally from the outside seem very like socially awkward, or they seem disinterested. But the moment you could like start really being yourself, you see like these sparks in them of like them expressing who they are and having these reactions. And there's been people that I'm like, whoa, I was not expecting that. And so I know I use this term a lot of like playing a game, but if you are playing the game in life of being yourself, in a world where we are kind of being told through social manipulation when it comes to like social media and stuff of who we should be, giving people opportunities to express themselves, I feel like is a really powerful thing. And that's instantly a way to connect with someone, of being like, wow, I see that in you. And then the fact that it throws you off enough to be like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. You can use that curiosity to just drive questions to understand who this person is, and ask those. And that's going to help that person get out of their shell.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I come up with ways of expressing the ideas as they come, but that is something I feel like I actively do. Yeah.
Being yourself to make other people be comfortable being themselves.
100%. And it's a lot of work. Being honest, it's a lot of work to try being that person who's actively doing that.
Hmm.
And I think it's one of the reasons I actually respect you, like my friendship with you a lot, is I don't feel like I meet a whole lot of other people who are actively putting in like the energy to be themselves and to actively be themselves in the world. And I feel like you do that a lot. And it makes me feel like it's not all hopeless, because there's other people doing that in the world, but also in collaboration is just such like an energizing process. And so I feel motivated and inspired. I feel evoked to be more of myself, because I feel like you're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the exact same way. I feel like you started it.
No, you started. Yeah, we don't need to go into the semantics of that. Yeah, I'm just curious. What are some of your like experiences making friends? Maybe like making new friends, and what are some things you've learned over like those experiences that you feel like have like changed the direction of how you approach like making friendships or conversations with people?
Back in the day, for most of my life, when I was back in the day when I was a Christian, which is most of my life, I would just walk up to someone that I saw new in church and invite them over to my house for dinner. I made so many friends that way, and everyone thought it was weird. People didn't have each other over for dinner, even though I was in the South, and it seems like that's something that they do, but they didn't. We were the only ones. And so we had tons of friends, but I was looking for that whole complete friendship in all of these friendships. And so it always felt like it was missing something, and I wanted more. And now I see that I can't just invite someone over and expect that. It's more of learn what type of friendship this person is looking for, what type of capacity they have, even their schedule, if they have time in their life at that point. And then I struggle with inviting them, knowing what to invite them to do.
Do you feel like that was wasted energy in trying to make friends with people that maybe weren't the same type of friendship style you're looking for? Because I have a point to make to that. If you
No,
do.
I don't think it was wasted. It still gave me the friendship of utility and the friendship of pleasure, which I still think was valuable.
Okay.
I just wanted something more. So I don't think it was wasted.
Okay, cool. 'Cause, yeah, because I was gonna say, like, I've found this experience for myself where some people aren't like ready or don't want that type of that type of friendship of like the really in depth, compassionate, help each other grow. But just having that seed planted in their mind that that type of friendship is possible, I think is really helpful for people.
That's
So
true.
yeah. So you use like Christianity as like a getting way of getting your foot in the door, which I think is it makes sense because I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are so invested in religion is because of that sense of community that we all kind of lack as a society now, unless I think bars are kind of like a communal thing, you know. Um, but what other approaches have you learned to do from that maybe is a little bit different than what you would have done back then?
I think to look for friends everywhere. But I think the thing that I learned, I actually drew out a timeline of our friendship and how long it took to go from just a surface level, just meeting, to a deeper friendship. And it took over a year and a half. And with my friend from childhood, that took 8 years to go from a basic friendship to a really deep one. And the thing I've learned is to always be looking, because you're going to be losing friends with them moving away or they just ghost you. And so to always be looking everywhere. I complimented a guy's snowboarding outfit, and we became friends after that. Like, we're really good snowboarding friends. Yeah, that's. I really miss the community aspect of Christianity. That was just a great place to find friends, and that's been a really difficult part, is finding a new place to find friends. And the answer is everywhere.
I love that answer because yeah, it's very difficult. There's not like unless you're using like kind of like dating apps to make friends, it's really hard to meet people in real life in a way that's like engaged or focused towards making friends.
Yeah, like the people that I want to talk to are probably at home thinking, man, I wish there was some more people like me that I could talk to.
Yeah, and I think there's something to meeting people in person that's so drastically different compared to like these dating or friend apps because you're seeing an image, like a couple images, maybe like a video of someone that's like so kind of like superficial or like cut to be
Curated.
Yeah, curated. Exactly. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. And then you're also just like looking at like text that someone like wrote about something that's like, yeah, there can be some like emotional like connection through reading like words that someone in the way that someone wrote. They're probably using ChatGPT, but there's such a difference in energy when it comes to meeting someone in person of like how someone reacts to the way you say things, to someone's like body language as you're talking to them. Yeah. So I if it's possible, I think you can make friends so much easier in real life versus like some type of like application. But I wish there were more places that like actively did that or had some type of, I mean, board game nights, some places I've seen, but again, a lot of these are focused towards like bars where it's just like alcohol focused, you know?
Yeah, I think the answer is maybe also to just get involved in activities that you like, and you'll find people that are doing that with you.
Yeah, I found this activity called making friends. And so I went there and I made some friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah, it's makingfriends.gov. It's like a government website.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. For some reason you had to like give a background like check and then you got like some government clearance or something like that. But it was made lots of friends.
Your credit score took a huge hit, I assume.
Yeah, and
Not really sure why.
it's interesting you bring that up because like I did also like get some like my like I got like an alert that like someone stole like my like personal identity around that same time too.
You don't know who you are?
Am I? I just want to say, like, first off, this has been a really like fun conversation. It's been really interesting, like just like talking these things like through and kind of understanding where you come from on this. And thank you for the great questions asking me too. But again, I just want to like thank you for like being like my friend, and for not only doing the podcast with me, but outside of this, just being a good person and helping assist me like emotionally and supporting me, and also calling me on my bullshit. So like,
Oh, wow. You're very welcome. I'm happy to do that. And I'm so happy that I can have someone to make mistakes in front of that doesn't judge me and knows that I'm trying my best and that I'll fix it.
yeah, again, I'm only going to judge you a lot.
A lot. Okay.
Yeah. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Just do it silently.
Cool. And I'll send you the contract for when our friendship's going to end.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, cool.